Howdy folks, Nathan here, and I have some bad news for you. The 2019 Volkswagen Alltrack is going away. This is its last year. And we wanted to give it a little bit of a send-off because we still think that it's one of the best vehicles in its class for you to buy. And I'm going to be telling you about the pricing, what's available on the vehicle, alternatives, competition, and also why it's a curse for a journalist to love a car. We've actually had this vehicle on a lot of different, very difficult surfaces. That's right. We've had one nearly identical to this car go up Goldmine Hill back when we were still able to use Goldmine Hill. In fact, it went up against an Audi.
Okay, we don't have the breakover angle, dude.
We also went up against a Subaru Outback, the previous generation, which had a larger displacement engine, but as you'll see, the results were a little bit different with 0 to 60 times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's long gone. I mean, long gone. What? Where's the power?
In we go. I like the amount of headroom and legroom available in this vehicle. I do not have to sit with the steering wheel on my lap in order to get my legs to extend just right. And I think that has something to do with the Germans, the way they're built. I am half German after all. Now, fire this puppy up, and you have the regular Volkswagen fare. Infotainment screen, gauges, all this stuff is out of other Volkswagen products, and they all work very well. But you know what works really well? This Marrakesh brown leather seating. I'm sorry, leatherette seating. It's not even real leather, but that's okay. I think they're pretty damn supportive. Let me show you the back seat. Now I am 6'1", and I'm sitting behind myself, and there is no extra space. My knees are pressed hard against the seat. Not a lot of footwell room either. Headroom's okay, but all in all, this is a place to put little people like my children. Not me. Definitely not Roman. There are a couple neat little features on this Volkswagen, one of which is Park Pilot. It's not a 360 camera view, which I wish it did have. A lot of competitors do have that, but it does give you a graphic representation of where you are and what's nearby. It also tells you the path of which your wheels are turning into from a bird's eye perspective. One of the main vehicles that this goes up against, believe it or not, is the Buick Regal Tour X. The reason why the much larger Buick is a competitor is because if you actually look at the pricing, well, Buick is discounting the hell out of those cars, and even though they are larger, they still do have a turbocharged engine, and they are built for 5 people. It's a good car, but it doesn't give you the options like a manual transmission or this sweet little turbocharged 1.8 liter engine. I still think this is a great looking vehicle, and one of the things that makes it look different than the competition is the fact that it is indeed a Volkswagen from the front end. It definitely looks like a mix between a Jetta and, of course, a Golf. But it's a little bit higher, and it has cladding. Also has these interesting different colored mirror coverings, which don't make a lot of sense to me, but some people like it. And of course, all of this contrasting metal look makes it look a little bit more rugged, I guess. And then as you work your way to the back, basically it's a station wagon. Now, here's the main competition. The Subaru Crosstrek and the Subaru Outback. This sits right in between them, and mainly that has to do with what's going on inside. Two numbers that really matter right now back here, 30.4 and 66.5. That's because 30.4 means that's how much space you have behind the second row. By the way, check this out. Not only is that a latch, but hidden in there is the backup camera, so whenever you go into reverse, this actuates, which is pretty cool. Fold down these seats, which by the way you can do using these levers. Ta-da! And pull this one, ba-boom! And you have a lot more cargo space. It's interesting because the cargo space difference between this vehicle and the Subaru Crosstrek and the Subaru Outback, well, it's right in between the two. It's more than the Crosstrek and it's less than the Outback. There's additional utility because back here you have a 115 volt outlet and 12 volt. Pretty cool, right? This is one of my favorite parts. Ta-da! That is a 1.8 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder TSI Volkswagen engine. In my mind, between this and the 2 liter, two of the best engines Volkswagen currently builds. This one puts out 168 horsepower and 199 pound-feet of torque, and it's hooked up to a 6-speed manual transmission. Now you can get a 6-speed DSG as well, but the manual transmission is a little bit more fun. Tommy hates it, but everybody else at TFL loves it. And one of the reasons why is it's really nice being able to drive a vehicle like this with all-wheel drive with a manual transmission. Acceleration is smooth. It's one of the things I love about the 1.8 liter turbo. It is an award-winning engine for a very good reason. It's efficient, it's quiet, it's capable, and it's got good power. A vehicle like this that's going to be in the 2-ton range, well, it's not exactly what I would call a lightweight yet. With this manual transmission, this engine, and with all-wheel drive, it feels light on its toes, it accelerates quickly, and it's rewarding. Go around the corner, it doesn't really feel like it's dipping. Even though it has an additional 1.4 inches of ground clearance, you don't really feel it moving too much. It doesn't feel like it's squirming. It feels planted and solid, as a Volkswagen should, right? It's really hard to fault this vehicle's ride, handling, and overall performance. All right, so let's talk about a couple negatives. I mean, I love the car, but there are a couple things you guys need to know about. First of all, the soft touch materials up here are not back here. In other words, if you have your elbow on the door panel in the back, it's not very comfortable. The other thing, and it's a personal pet peeve, I don't know if you guys have the same issue, fake carbon fiber or whatever this is, just doesn't work for me. I'd rather have a fake metal or a real metal or a wood or something like that. Otherwise, the interior is laid out pleasantly and simply. There is one thing that really does get me about this vehicle. The glove compartment's fairly decent size, but there's not a lot of cargo capacity in terms of cubbies. You'd think a family vehicle would have that. There is a little tiny cubby right here where your elbow is. It's a decent armrest, but it really doesn't have much space. The door pockets are pretty large, good enough for a bottle, that's good. But yeah, there's just not a lot of extra cubby space, and that's kind of a bummer. Look, bottom line is, you're gonna want a crossover because everybody wants a crossover, and crossovers do usually have more cubby space, more components to open up so you can put stuff inside of them. I think it's a small price to pay personally because this is a lot more fun to drive than the equivalent crossover. It's a funny thing, sometimes when journalists love cars, they're doomed. This is another vehicle that I had seriously considered purchasing, and I'm still kind of keeping it in the back of my mind before it completely goes out of production. And the reason why is she who must be obeyed, my spouse, my boss. She's been looking for a vehicle that has all-wheel drive, manual transmission, the same amount of room roughly as our old Subaru Forester. We had the first and second generation of those vehicles, and something that is fun to drive. And this car has all of that. Not only that, but it gets a combined 24 mpg, and although that's okay, I do like the fact it gets 30 miles per gallon on the highway. That's its rating with the manual transmission. This vehicle costs $33,785. That's as it sits behind me. Now remember, that includes almost every option in the book, including the massive sunroof. The only thing it doesn't have is the 6-speed DSG. Now, let's say you want to save a lot of dough but get a similar vehicle. You can save thousands of dollars by getting the Sport Wagon with a lot of the same options. Now what about Subaru? Well, you can get a Subaru Crosstrek that is well loaded for around $28,000, but you can also bump that price up if you add options. Or you can get the Subaru Outback for around $33,000. Once again, that's before you add options. This vehicle, and here's the good news for you, can be a lot cheaper because they're getting rid of them. As such, you can go to your dealer and you can demand and push and try to get thousands off its MSRP because they got to get them off the dealer lots. I'm sad to see it go. I am seriously tempted to buy one of these for she who must be obeyed, otherwise known as my spouse, because she loves the car. I just don't know what to do. Maybe you guys should let me know below in the comments. For the Fast Lane Car, this is Nathan. I'll see you next time.